Good morning. I'm here at the Dunraven Trailhead, and this is located in the Roosevelt National Forest, just outside the Comanche Peak Wilderness. And today, I'm really not sure what I'm going to go for. I really want to try for Mount Dickinson. However, I'm not sure what the weather's going to be doing, not sure how my legs are going to be feeling, so I'm going to wait until I get out to the Happily Lost campsite, and then I'm going to make my decision there. Official start time, 5:45. And then about 1 minute into the hike, you reach the Comanche Peak Wilderness border, and this North Fork Trail starts dropping down. And I'm waiting for that sun to pop over the mountains. Yeah, this hike is always a little dark at the beginning, but I can see Dickinson way out there. And my goodness, that looks far away. All right, and I finally got some sunshine. And I wore the TFKs today, also known as the tick flicker knickers, the TFUCs, because oftentimes I look down, see a little black spot in my pants, and be like, what the fuck is that? I wrote a little song about ticks as I've been hiking along here. Want to hear it? Here it goes. Ticks, ticks, they make me sick, but they seem to love me and like to suck my blood. A couple years ago, I tried Mount Dickinson, and I thought I'd make my own route. So I dropped it down a little further back on the trail. I've already passed that spot. I crossed the water and then bushwhacked up that little ridge right there. And I thought I'd get on the top and then just bounce it across and over to Mount Dickinson, which is way out there. However, once the burned area ran out, and that got nasty up in there, and I basically couldn't go any further and had to come back down. So yeah, that was pretty dumb. I thought I knew better than Lisa Foster, but guess what? I don't. And I believe this is all burn damage from the Cameron Peak fire in 2020. Boy, that was a fun year. Not. And I left my phone in the car, which means I'm not going to get any good thumbnail snapshots. However, it will prolong the cancer I'm going to get in my upper thigh for another week or so. So that's good. And the intensity of this trail is starting to increase. It's getting a lot rockier and a lot steeper. And in just under 2 hours, I've made it out here to the Rocky Mountain National Park border. And according to the GPS, I've come up over 1,100 feet, which isn't very much. I still got a lot more to do. And wow, the columbine flowers are thick out here. Beautiful. And I believe the next destination along the trail here is going to be where the North Boundary Trail connects up from the south. And here it is, right here, North Boundary Trail. And if you take this left right here and continue on for a bunch of miles, you'll eventually run into the Cow Creek Trail. But today, I'm going to stay to the right, stay on this North Fork Trail, take it out for another 1.25 miles or so to the Happily Lost campsite. And once I make it out there, I'm going to evaluate the situation and then decide what I'm going to do. And then this sign right here is probably one of the most demoralizing signs I've ever seen. You're halfway up to Lost Lake from here. My goodness. And then in the background there, that's going to be Dickinson. And it was right through here somewhere where I had to bushwhack in after dropping it down from the ridge up there last time I was out here. So from here on out, this is all uncharted territory. I have never been this far out. And in exactly 3 hours, I've made it out here to the happily lost campsite. And I'm at an elevation of about 9,600, which means I've come up roughly 1,800 so far. And this is well over 6 miles out. Well, the clouds aren't looking too bad. The wind is good. My legs feel okay. And I'm not getting any younger. So I think it's now or never. I need to go for this Mount Dickinson. But my God, it is way up there. I'm standing in the campsite, and of course there's no one here. And this is at roughly 9,600. The summit of Dickinson is up there over 11,800. So that means I've got a whopping 2,200 plus vertical feet straight up to the top. And that's in like a little over a mile's distance. All right, let's do it. This Mount Dickinson ain't gonna hike itself. Jeez, just getting down here to the water was hard. Down trees everywhere. And I'm not seeing a spot to cross. So I'm gonna work it back up and see if I can find a way. And that might be it right there. Man, that looks sketchy. Okay. And that did not work out how I wanted it to. If at first you don't succeed, fall back in the water. Oh, this is dumb. This is dumb. Oh my goodness. This is dumb. All right, I didn't die. And let's see how much further I can make it now. Man, this is nasty back here. Whew. And this bushwhack is ridiculous back here. My goodness. Just down trees out the wazoo. Wow, this is going to take forever. And my right boot is totally soaked out. I mean, I feel like there's standing water in it. Whoa! About wrecked my groin. Yeah, this is probably not too smart. But I'm trying to get good videos for you guys, so it's your fault. Yeah, oftentimes I wish I had a YouTube channel where I just sat inside and in front of a camera and just talked to it. That would be so much easier. I just took my boot off and wrung my sock out, and you would not have believed all the water that came out of that thing. My God, this is crazy back here. Jeez. And the sad part is I haven't even begun to start going uphill yet. And this is going to be the hardest bushwhack I've ever done by far. Yeah, this takes the cake. Every single step through here is hard. And I am going straight up the side. And finally, these trees are starting to thin out a little bit up here. I just crossed over probably 10,100. So I've got over 1,700 left. I made it up over 10,400. And now would be a good time to join my Patreon and help donate to my funeral fund. Seriously. There's got to be something clinically wrong with me to be out here doing this right now. And the thoughts of giving up and turning back are creeping into my head. I'm at about 10,750, which means I've got about 1,100 left in 4/10 of a mile. I just cannot get out of these trees. These things are relentless. And that's looking back at where I've come from. I worked it a little more to the east, and it looks like there is a little gap in the trees here. So yeah, this is looking much easier right here. It's boiling down to how bad do I want it? How bad do I want it? We got some clouds building up over there, but those are the least of my concerns right now. I can't even tell you how much easier this open part is. I'm telling you, if I get to the summit of that thing, I might actually break down and cry. Like, yes, I did it! Mount Dickinson! And the coast looks clear all the way to the top now. Looking at about 700 more vertical feet in about 3/10 of a mile. I'm not going to be giving up with only 700 left. No way, Jose. Whoa. I think I've just about hit 11,200. And like I said, the summit's up there at over 11,800. But I'm not going to get this close and give up. I'm right there. I just need to keep pushing. Full throttle, baby. No giving up. Almost there. Almost there. The pain is temporary, but the glory is eternal. Yeah. And check it out. Summit, Mount Dickinson. It's just now 11:05, so that took about 5 hours and 20 minutes. And that was pretty serious. That was extremely difficult. I'm just trying to think if it's the hardest hike I've ever done. I mean, that ranks. That is up there with the big ones. And it's not because of the distance or elevation gain, it was just that terrain coming through the forest area, having to bushwhack through it. The bugs are atrocious up here, but I'm just enjoying this summit. I ate my super old rock hard beef jerky that I've been carrying around for like 2 years. And then I had a couple bags of cinnamon chip churro strips. And now I'm gonna top it off with some caffeine beans. Caffeine beans are so good when they hit your lips. And let's name some peaks. Looking over here to the east, I can see Storm Mountain, Palisade Mountain, and Sheep Mountain, also known as Round Mountain. And then right there between Palisade and Sheep Mountain is where 34 Highway cuts up. And I can always see this Mount Dickinson sticking up when I'm driving through there. And it bugs me. I'm like, I've got to hike that one. Looking to the south, I can see the Lumpy Ridge, Prospect Mountain that's down there in Estes Park. And then in the background, you've got Twin Sisters, Estes Cone, Mount Meeker, Long's Peak, Chief's Head Peak, McHenry's Peak, Taylor Peak, Howlett Peak, and Flat Top Mountain. And then looking over here to the west, I can see big old Mummy Mountain, Haig's Peak, Roe, Gibraltar, and then this one right here in front of me is Mount Dunraven. And I wish I had the gas to get over there, but there's just no way. I need to save whatever energy I've got left for the hike back down. Looking up to the northwest, I can see Skull Point, Sugarloaf Mountain, and Stormy Peaks. And then way out in the distance there are probably mountains up in Wyoming. And then up here to the northeast, it's going to be the East and West White Pine Mountain, Signal Mountain, and then I believe those other two are going to be Lookout Mountain and Crystal Mountain. I've had my boots off this entire time. I'm trying to get that one dry, and it's still pretty wet. It's just soaked. Then I've also got my socks out here drying out, and they're pretty much dry. However, the one's going to get all wet again as soon as I put it back into the boot. And these flies are just loving my sock. Get off my sock, flies. Get! And then years and years ago, Chris and I had hiked Stormy Peaks, and we got up to the highest point there, and then I talked him into going out to this other point. And then as soon as we got out there, like all these clouds rolled in and it started storming, and we actually saw lightning hit this point right here, and we were like, oh crap, we better go. So then we like ran all the way back down. Well guys, it is about 12 o'clock right now, and I've been sitting up here on the summit of Mount Dickinson for nearly an hour, but I've got quite a hike back. I think I'm looking at roughly 4.5 hours. So it's time to go. It's time to head on back. down there, wind. And when I came up this thing, I stayed to the east of that little rocky bluff sticking up. I stayed to this side, and that's the way I'm gonna take it back down. Clouds are rolling in, wind is picking up, but I think I'm gonna be okay. And my goodness, this thing is steep. Jeez Louise. This thing is a knee blower outer on the way down. My goodness. I'm having to take the tiniest little steps down this thing. Yeah, I came up on the east side of this little rocky ridge, so I'm going to take it down the exact same way. And my water supply is looking pretty good, aka I still have some left. I was being real careful on the way up. I wasn't sure how much I had, but then when I got to the top I checked, and I still probably had 30 to 40 ounces left. So I'm looking good. As long as I can make it back down to the river, I can fill my bottle up as much as I want. Drink it with the water straw. The only saving grace on this mountain is that the top 1,000 feet or so is all grass, which makes it not so hard. If this was all loose rock and stuff, man, it would have been terrible, and even worse coming down. And I'm gonna try something slightly different on the way down. I'm gonna ride this open area out for as long as possible before I have to cut it back into the trees. I don't know, hopefully this doesn't backfire on me. Well, it looks like all the easy terrain is over, so I'm gonna hop back over to the west side of the ridge and fight my way down. And my God, this is brutal through here. And it's like this all the way down. And from 10-7 on down, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Just pick the path of least resistance and do whatever looks the best. Yeah, I don't want to jinx this. However, I think I'm finding a better route down. And I'm further west of the ridge. On the way up, I took it pretty much straight up the edge of the ridge. But like I said, now I'm more over to the west. And this does not seem near as bad. Yeah, I didn't have any open areas like this on the way up. Very, very few. And then when I did get them, they were over quickly. So I think I'm definitely doing this better on the way down. I don't know, it could change in a heartbeat though. I've been coming down for an hour and 5 minutes, and I'm at an elevation of about 10,000 feet. The campsite's down there at 96, so I've only got 400 left. And I've come down 1,800 already. That's surprisingly good. But this last 400 is gonna be the worst. It was the worst coming up. And then I'm gonna have to cross that water again. I've dropped it down to about 9,800, which means I've only got 200 left to go down. And I have merged back with my trail that I had taken up. So I'm looking really good right now. I'm probably a little over a quarter mile away from the water. All right, here goes nothing. I don't think this is the same spot that I crossed, but I'm gonna try it on the way back. I'm gonna go for that rock right there. Hallelujah. And that took an hour and 45 minutes to come down from the summit, cross the water, and make it back up here to the trail. Hallelujah. Good news is, the rest of this should be easy hiking. The bad news, I've got over 6 miles of it. Yeah, it took me 3 hours to get up here this morning. And there it is up there, Mount Dickinson. And that thing looks ridiculous from down here. I can't believe I did that. Yeah, you can kind of see that little open spot right there. I took that all the way up. I feel like Mike Tyson just beat my ass for 15 straight rounds. I'm not kidding. I took some major damage coming down that last part where it gets kind of flat just before the water crossing. Man, the trees right there were the worst. My wrist is bleeding. I got holes in my shirt, holes in my pants, lost another sun hood. I'm pretty sure my upper arm is bleeding, and I crashed down onto the front of my shin, and that hurts too. I'm so glad to be back on this trail. I cannot tell you how easy this is right now. Compared to what I've been on, this is a cakewalk. And my camelback is empty. I drank everything I had. So next time I get some good river access, I'm gonna fill my bottle up and use my life straw. And this might be a good place to stop for a second, right here at the North Boundary Trail Junction. I'm just gonna take it down here for a second because I think there's a bridge which should give me some good water access. Yep, right here. This is gonna be my spot. I'm gonna take a quick break, get some water, empty out all the rocks in my shoes, and check my backpack to see if anything else got ripped off it coming down that bushwhack. And you know what time it is. It's noon. Actually, it's about 2:20. And look at my wrist. No, I'm not suicidal. That happened on the bushwhack. And that was a nice little 5-minute break. I got some water, emptied out all the debris in my boots, and now they feel 10 times better. And I'm ready to knock out this trail. And although I got dinged up coming through the trees, luckily it was nothing major. I mean, like I didn't sustain any structural damage, no knee poppers, no ankle rollers, nothing like that. Just a few scrapes and bruises. And I'm now leaving Rocky Mountain National Park and re-entering the Comanche Peak Wilderness. So I'm knocking this out. I've probably got another 4 to 4.5 miles back down to the trailhead. And there's a ton of uphill on the way back. You really don't notice these little sections on the way out, but you sure do notice them on the way back. And that's why the net elevation gain is so high. No joke, I don't remember coming down half of these downhill sections on the way out. My God. I feel like I'm hiking up to Mount Dickinson again. And I just stopped for my final break. A quick little 2-minuter. Had to get this backpack off for a second. And I drank the bottle of water that I had filled up at the river. So now I am 100% out. But I don't think it's going to be a big deal because I've only got maybe 2 more miles back to the Dunraven trailhead. I'm hiking through the private property right here. There's 1/3 of a mile of it. Yeah, it's really pretty down here. It's just the problem is in the morning, it's real dark, and these GoPros don't do good in the dark. Hi guys, how you doing? Oh, you're a pretty one. And I've only seen 4 other people out here all day long, and one of them was back there standing in the river. He wasn't fishing or anything, he was just standing there in the middle of the river, enjoying it, listening to music. And if I can complete this hike without taking a bug to the eyeball, I feel like that'll be a great success. All right, and I'm crossing over the river for the final time. And this means I'm getting close to being done with it. I've got maybe another half mile. The thing that sucks is I gotta do all that uphill here at the very end. All right, and I'm back. Dunraven Trailhead. It is just now 4:30, so that took me 4.5 hours to come down. Took me 5 hours and 20 minutes to get out there this morning. In Lisa Foster's book, she has that at just under a 4,000 foot gain. However, that's an absolute elevation gain. That's just looking at the trailhead elevation compared to the summit. So you're looking at maybe like 78 to 11.8. However, when you add in all the up and down, the net elevation gain is going to be well over 4,600. And I can believe it. I can believe that. There's a ton of up and down on that trail. But I hope you enjoyed that hike. And until the next one, y'all, peace.